For more than 25 years, Leadership Pittsburgh Incorporated has been developing our region's next generation of civic leaders. In fact, they've been at it so long that the next generation of 25 years ago is now pretty much the generation in charge of companies, nonprofits, and even government agencies throughout our region. Well, over the years, our region's leadership has become more diverse, especially when it comes to gender. But compared to other places, we still have a ways to go. Well, now LP has taken on that challenge by a brand new initiative that sprung out of Leadership Development Initiative, or LDI. Aradhna Dhanda is president and CEO of LPI, and of course, a graduate of Leadership Pittsburgh, class of 18. And Christy Uffelman, a graduate of LDI, class 17, is vice president of employee and organizational development of Mascaro Construction Company. And welcome, good to see you.
Thank you. Thank you for having us.
We're going to talk today about this thing called Women's Circle of Trust, which sprang out of LDI, Leadership Development Initiative. But before we get to the Circle of Trust, maybe we should explain what LDI is all about.
Oh, okay. In a nutshell, Leadership Development Initiative, Bill, is a program to engage, identify, and connect young leaders, younger leaders, with each other, with issues, with neighborhood, but primarily focused on their leadership development, the skill aspect of it, following a data-driven model coming out of the work of Dr. Bob Kelly from CMU called the Star at Work model. So that forms the basis of this leadership training. We get about 50 or so, very highly competitive, but we create a cohort of about 50 dynamic, young, smart, the talent, the best talent from different companies, different organizations, and then they go through a program, follows a school year, October through June, where we hone their star performer skills. They're already high potentials within the companies, but do it within a community context. That's what LDI is.
All right, intense program. You get to meet some of the region's best and brightest. Good experience?
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Fantastic. And I am a leadership development coach by trade. So coming into it, I had seen a lot of leadership models.
You're thinking, what can they possibly teach me? I do this for a living, right?
I don't go that far. But I came into it very confident and continued to be surprised every month.
Wow, that's great. And you got to the end of it, though, and it's a bittersweet time, whether it's Leadership Pittsburgh or LDI. You know, everybody's had this intense experience, and then they go off into the world. Except in the case of your class, it didn't quite happen that way.
It didn't. And the Circle of Trust, which is a group of 20 young women leaders from our cohort of about 54 in last year's graduating class, really wanted to be intentional about keeping those relationships moving forward. We had, throughout our LDI experience, bled together through our pop-up and gone through the leadership development classes once a month on Thursday. But then what we started to do as the year went on is meet for a coffee here, meet for a lunch there. And while initially that was about networking, we realized that there was something more. And a lot of us were in that place in our career, in our early 30s, where we were gaining traction in our organizations, gaining more leadership, and then also looking at our work-life integration and families and the personal side that we face in that decade.
Now you could just get together for a cup of coffee and kick all this around, but you've been a little more systematic about it?
We certainly have. We started meeting once a month after graduation at a happy hour time frame. And the model that we were using for our meetings is the General Electric leadership model, which is success, challenge, and need for support. And that is around, since the last time we've been together, what has been your success, what is your challenge, and how can we as a group help you in surmounting that challenge.
Really cool. And so
month.
To have peers, you've been through this experience together, you're all experiencing challenges in your careers, but they're all still fairly young. Helps, I would think, to have a more experienced woman occasionally come in and talk to you as well. So you've kind of added that piece to all of this?
Yes, there is a role for us older women too in this. So Christy and her colleagues in the Circle of Trust were gracious and kind enough to invite some part with me, and we sat down but it's their initiative. Completely their initiative.
With Aradhna's guidance.
But we're just supporting. That's what you do when you're older. So they have connected with some wonderful women leaders across our community, folks who have won the Athena Award, for example, folks who are members of the International Women's Forum. And then they are meeting every month for breakfast for very intentional conversations, and these are authentic leadership conversations. So this is not just about how do I get my next job, what do I do if I can't you know, speak in public about this. These are authentic conversations. So they have met with some leaders who have bared their souls, which they would not otherwise. I mean, if you put me on a panel, there's only so much I would say.
Sure. But in this kind of an intimate experience, you can go farther and you can connect better. Only a little bit of time left, but there's obviously the 20 of you went through this whole experience together, and the whole circle of trust is based on that. Do you see this as something that eventually would become a regular thing that springs out of leadership development initiative every year?
As it stands right now, we are exploring those possibilities. Okay. We have formed a steering committee as a part of our circle of trust, and because we are getting so much excitement and energy from the region, both in terms of potential guest mentors as well as interest from younger women, we're keeping those lists. And we are going to, the steering committee specifically are going to meet, we're going to look at mission, vision, values here in the next few months and talk about, is it possible that we could create a replicable model for future LDI classes?
Very, very cool. Should mention, deadline approaching for LDI for the next class, right?
Yes, yes, first Friday in June.
Okay. Very good. And people want to fill out the form and apply online.
Google Leadership Pittsburgh.
Google Leadership Pittsburgh. Easy enough. Aradhna Dhanda, President and CEO of LPI. Christy Uffelman from Mascaro. Thank you both so much.
Thank you, Bill.
Yeah. And we'll be back in a minute with a little dollars and cents. Stay with us.